Hi, I'm Abby Paige Stevens here at Stitchin Heaven, and I have a special story to share with you. I was challenged here in the store to design a rainbow baby quilt, and I got really excited about that because I personally have two rainbow babies. For those of you who may not know, a rainbow baby is a baby that is born after a parent or couple loses a pregnancy through either miscarriage or stillbirth, or perhaps a child may pass away early in life. So then when they have a new baby that arrives healthy, that baby brings joy and hope to the family, and so we call it a rainbow baby. You will want to make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because this is going to be a two-part series. I just want to introduce my story to you today and the inspiration behind this quilt, and then we will release a separate video that is a complete tutorial of how to create this quilt. So my story began, my husband and I were married very young and got excited about having children right away. But children did not come right away. I experienced 2 miscarriages and an ectopic pregnancy, so essentially 3 pregnancies that did not come to fruition. And that was a very difficult time for us as a couple. We were young, weren't sure what was happening or why this was happening, and there are a lot of mixed emotions that come along with these experiences. But there are many women who experience this. It happens more often than we realize. And I think that it's important that we share our experiences with each other because these feelings and emotions that we have sometimes can seem scary, or maybe we feel like they're not normal. And so it's helpful to be able to talk about it and to share these experiences with each other. So after experiencing these miscarriages, my husband and I decided to take a break for a little bit from trying to have a child and decided to become foster parents, which was a very fulfilling experience. It was difficult and challenging to say the least, but we felt that we could share our love with children that were already here on this planet. And so through fostering, we were able to adopt a little girl, and her name was Angela. And she had a lot of medical difficulties. She had mitochondrial disease. But I remember going to meet her in the hospital when she was just 5 weeks old. She was not able to go home with her birth mother, and she needed a home to go to. And so because of her medical needs, they asked us as a foster couple to come and stay in the hospital for 3 nights so that we can learn how to take care of her and deal with the feeding tubes and the heart monitors and all the things that she needed in her medication. I will never forget the day that I walked into the hospital room to meet Angela. She had all of this dark, thick, black hair. She was so tiny, and I remember walking up to the crib and just looking at her and knowing that eventually she was going to be ours. I don't know how I knew that, but I knew it. And immediately broke down into tears, and it was a very special moment for me. And my husband came a little bit later and met her, and he had a very similar experience. So she came home and lived with us, and she lived to be 4 years old. The doctors didn't think that she would live to be a couple months old, but we were able to care for her in a way that she was able to be with us for 4 years. And finally, a kidney infection took her from us. That also was a very, very difficult time. I remember doctors warning us that as a couple, that having a child pass can put a lot of strain on a couple, and that they suggested we get counseling and all those kinds of things. And my husband and I just kind of looked at each other, and we have the type of relationship that we knew that we would be okay. And the experience actually drew us closer together. And we talk about Angela often. She is always on our minds. We talk about her with our children that we have been able to have after her. So after let me backtrack just a second. I want to let you know that before Angela passed, it was actually just months after we adopted her. The doctors figured out why I kept miscarrying, and it turns out that I have a syndrome called PCOS, or polycystic ovarian syndrome. And so miscarriage is a very common symptom of this syndrome. And that has a whole separate set of challenges all in itself. But the doctors figured out why I kept miscarrying and were able to put me on a medication that allowed me to carry a pregnancy to full term. And so I was able to give birth to a biological child, my oldest son, Elliot. And he brought so much joy to our family. So then I proceeded to be able to carry another pregnancy, and I had my daughter, Emily. And then Emily was about a year old when Angela passed. So I had these 3 little babies all in a row. After Angela passed, I had my second rainbow baby, and that's my youngest son, Dale. And he brings so much joy to our family. He's a happy little guy and just always cheerful and always has a smile to share with everybody. And so he has brought so much joy to our family as well. Experiencing miscarriage and then becoming pregnant again is a very emotional, scary experience because you go through the entire 9 months of that pregnancy terrified that you're going to lose another baby. Once that baby comes, of course, we are happy and thrilled and excited. But in our case, we also had some mixed emotions because holding this new baby in our arms, we were able to remember, oh, we lost these other pregnancies and we will never have this experience with that child like we did with this child. Or maybe even feel guilt because we don't want to have the feelings that this new baby is replacing the babies that we lost. And so there's all these mixed feelings. And so again, I reiterate that this is something that happens to so many women. And I know that many feel like maybe there's something wrong with them or they feel ashamed or somehow it's their fault, but it's not. And it's important that we share these experiences with each other and be able to support and lift one another. Behind me is the Rainbow Baby quilt that I designed here as a challenge from Deb and from Christy, my supervisor here on the Dream Team. So we have here a hot air balloon with a star in it, and the star represents the babies that were lost and have risen on to bigger and better things. And down here in a field of dark, because a lot of times we have these dark, difficult feelings, we have these lights of color shining through, which represent our rainbow babies that restore to us the hope and joy after the turmoil of the storm. Thank you for spending time with me and listening to the story as I shared with you my experiences. If you want to learn how to create this quilt, again, we're going to do another tutorial, so make sure that you are subscribed to our channel and check back with us so that you can learn how to build this beautiful quilt. Thank you, and I will see you next time.